Good evening and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. The boys are back after a successful game against Everton. 3 points on the board. We march on with Stephen Gerrard's army. Two of my esteemed colleagues were at the game yesterday, so they can give us a first-hand experience of what happened. Mr. Fowler legend himself, George, how are you this evening?
Hello, Rich. Yeah, not bad, mate. Not too bad at all. Had a great weekend. How you doing, fellas?
Very good, very good.
Good.
Kev, how are you, my friend?
Yeah, mate, I'm all right. I'm a bit annoyed about to put a t-shirt on for this podcast because I didn't want to get all my gut out and stuff for anybody that might view. But yeah, it's just too hot on it. Too warm.
Hot. Hot. It's not actually been that bad in Newcastle, to be fair. It's been not too bad today. I'd say late 20s.
Snow up there, Rich? Or?
Yeah, you're
not quite.
You're basically in Lapland, aren't you, up there?
Yeah. So we've just managed to get like the jumpers off, to be fair. But no,
2 weeks.
Yeah. But I know it's been 30, 32, 33 down in Birmingham and down south, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's warm. Yeah, it's warm. I have all these ideas and plans. I'm just like, scrap that. Just to like get the fans on and do nothing.
Good stuff. Anyway, so obviously, yes, boys, we have a victory to talk about into the second game of the season. Aston Villa 2, Everton 1. We did make slightly hard work of it, although I did feel like we definitely deserved the win. So we'll go through the game and we'll talk about an unfortunate potential injury to one of our big players, Diego Carlos, and then we're going to have a little bit of a light-hearted look at the Premier League and what's going on at probably a club that we never tire of seeing suffering. I'm sure they'll get a mention, but yeah, get involved in the comments if you're watching. Please do. Let us know, your thoughts on the game yesterday and your thoughts on the Premier League in general and how you think we'll do, how it relates to us, what you think will happen to other clubs, who's going to go down. Is it going to be Man United? I don't know. We could be looking at history being made, but yeah, the game yesterday, obviously Villa 2, Everton 1. We'll go with the starting lineups. Obviously you gave your prediction, Kev, on Thursday night's show. Any surprises for you with the starting lineup initially?
Jacob Ramsey was a bit of a surprise based on all the rumours that Luiz is about to sign an extension to his contract, signing a contract, and I just felt like his pre-season form wasn't great. He wasn't great last week, and I just thought he's still a young player. Maybe they would have freshened that up. Other than that, no real great surprises. I wasn't surprised to see Mings back in if he was fit, because I think obviously that's the lacking of our centre halves. Physicality was shown the week before, and Everton have got some pretty decent sized players, particularly when they come up for corners. Obviously, they're centre halves, so you want a bit of physicality there. And I wasn't surprised to see Watkins and Ings partnered together, because I think they've always at home seems to have done that a bit. So yeah, just Ramsey really for me. Was any surprise?
Yeah, fair. George, what about yourself? Are you pleased to see Tyrone Mings back in? And I think maybe from the comments of Gerrard after the game, particularly, does that kind of put the issue to bed now, so to speak?
I'm not sure. I mean, same as what Kev said. To be fair, Ramsey was probably a little bit of a surprise, not a massive shock, but just as you say, the pre-season wasn't great, and I thought he might have been benched after last week. But no, fair play to him. He come in and done very well. Mings, yeah, it was the logical choice to come back in, and I'm very pleased he come back in. I wasn't sure Gerrard would do it. I thought he'd go Chambers myself, but I think Mings was the right choice with the height and physicality against the physicality of Everton. So it was, match for match, wasn't it? And he done very well. So it all worked out.
Absolutely. And then kind of looking at Everton's lineup, some reasonable players in there. Gordon, Gray, and McNeil in particular. But I think the glaring, thing missing from that team is the lack of centre forward, isn't it, Kev? It's just, and that's what transpired in the game, particularly in the first half when they got into areas that were threatening. They just didn't really have any sort of outlet.
Yeah, I've got to say, I thought Everton were really poor yesterday. I mean, they rallied a bit second half, particularly when they got the goal back. Don't care who you're playing. You turn it up and you concede one, then they're going to start throwing the kitchen sink at you. But before that, I thought they had absolutely nothing. I really did. I mean, they've got some all right players. I think Gordon's a real handy player, and I think he's destined for bigger and better things. But they just didn't do anything, and it said more to me about how our inability, to break them down and to actually cause more damage to them and to put the game to bed. Because I think Everton will be on the back of a few pacings this season from what I saw. And they've got some decent defenders, to be fair, as in centre halves, even if you think injury-wise. But when Mina's back, when Godfrey's back, they've obviously got Cody now and Tarkovsky. I think they're quite solid.
They've got loads
Michael
of defenders.
Keane. Yeah, they're quite solid in terms of that. But I don't know much about Patterson. And I know Coleman doesn't get a game anymore. Mikolenko's meant to be pretty decent, but I wouldn't say they're solid. But midfield doesn't do anything. Strikers don't do anything. And that's because they're having to be careful what they spend, aren't they, really? So for me, I wasn't... You worry about maybe getting caught on the break, which we did a couple of times with Gordon racing through, but I thought they were bang average, if not bang below average. My view on Everton is going topsy-turvy because I predict him to go down in the predictions show. Then they made all these signings, and to be fair, what's his name? Played pretty well when he came on. Sorry, it's funny. I saw Alan Shearer do that match.
I thought he played better for us.
No, I honestly was I was in the crowd singing that when he came on. Villa fans are looking at me. I think if Everton fans don't sing that, they're missing a real chance, aren't they?
To be fair, you hit the notes quite well then.
Thanks very much. I've been practicing. He looks all right, and if they get Idrissa Gueye back, maybe. But I've gone from Everton going down to Everton staying up, so now I think they can still go down. So, yeah.
Well, Aaron was definitely happy, and we were definitely happy we didn't see him running on the pitch and getting arrested. So great to have you on board with us, Aaron. I think. A couple of their players were okay. I thought, like you said, I thought Gordon was pretty threatening. I thought he was decent. Damari Gray flattered to deceive a little bit, I thought, in the game. I was kind of expecting a little bit more from him. I did think Patterson was pretty good at fullback. I was quite impressed with him. But yeah, I think everything that you've said there with regards to Everton is pretty fair. They threw everything at it. And one thing that those 5 subs does allow you to do is, if you are 1-0 down or 2-0 down as they were, or 2-1 down, you just throw the kitchen sink at it. You can just go for it because you've got so many substitutions that you can make. I think they were literally playing 5 up front at the end of the game. So yeah, it's one thing that they can do. But back to the first half, George, with regards to Villa. How did you feel we started the game? What were your kind of thoughts with getting out of the blocks? Did we, for your part, did we get out of the blocks quite quickly? Did we kind of put to bed some of the issues from last week? In that first half.
Yeah, definitely. It was everything I wanted, really. I just think the second the whistle went, it was, you can tell he's obviously said, get into them, lads. Show a bit of intent from whistle one, and we were straight into the tackles. Good tempo about us. Started the game very well, I thought, and we could have scored long before we did. I thought the first half was very good. It was better than the second, anyway.
Yeah, well, we had 1 or 2 efforts from corners. I think Carlos should have scored at one point, Kevin. Then, I think Everton got into it a little bit, which I don't think necessarily is too bad a thing, because they were obviously going to play 10 men behind the ball, and you almost want to try and coax them out to create some gaps to exploit, and that was exactly what happened with the goal that we scored. And real sort of smart play from McGinn. In Watkins getting into those areas where we know he can be really effective, and then Danny Ings does the rest.
Yeah, I was saying exactly that yesterday. Like Villa, as we know, we struggle to break teams down that sit in. So any teams against us this season that, particularly at home, are going to play 10 men behind the ball, we're going to have to show some real quality to break them down. And so I don't mind it when teams attack us a little bit when they go for it, because it leaves gaps at the back for us to expose to try and get a goal. And the dynamic is totally different. I was really worried yesterday if Everton had got a goal, like when Bournemouth got a goal. I thought, well, here we go. If they score, when that one was obviously ruled out for offside, wasn't it? And Gordon thought he'd scored. that would have been a nightmare. Then they would have just sat back even deeper. And
it was all about the first goal, wasn't it? Who got it?
Yeah. So look, I come back to it time and time again. I still don't think we were that convincing yesterday. I thought the intensity was better, to be expected, and we scored a couple of goals. And Carlos probably could have scored that header, but do you know what? Watkins could have scored second half, but I didn't think there was that many chances we created. I don't think we did too much to make it look like we were going to put them to bed, basically, and that was a bit of a worry. And then all of a sudden we get the goal at 85. They score straight afterwards, 90 seconds was it? And you're thinking, crikey.
How did we manage to concede that, honestly? I blinked and I was like, Jesus Christ. I was about to leave. Next thing you know, you're like, oh, that is Villa all to a T, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, no. Did pretty well down the left-hand side.
I do think we have to still pay respect to the opposition that you're coming up against. And yes, we can say Everton are poor and they might be in a relegation scrap, but they're still Premier League footballers. And that guy they've spent who came on, I'm not going to say his name. They paid over 30 million for him.
What's his name?
I can't
go on, Rich. Go on, son.
But Rihanna, is it? But you're playing against another opposition that don't want to get beat, so it's incumbent on you to try and break them down. And I think I do take your point is that I do think that we struggle a little bit in the creating of chances, and I just wish sometimes we'd have more shots just from outside of the box, 20, 25 yards. I just wish we'd do that because it puts the other team on the back foot. You never know, you might score, or that's where Ings kind of can come into his own, where if a ball is rebounds off the goalkeeper, he's going to be ready to put it in. So I do definitely think that, but at the same time, it's no Premier League game is easy. There is no easy game in the Premier League, absolutely not. So you have to pay respect to the opposition that you're coming up against, and it is difficult to score goals. They're the most difficult thing to do. But on the goal, the first goal, we'll go on to the second goal in a bit. But George, I mean, cracking finish from Danny Ings, and you're a big Danny Ings fan. Is that what you want to see from the man himself?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what we've just paid 25 million for, isn't it? And we've not really seen enough of it. But it was a great finish. It actually looked like the ball had gone away. I thought he had a chance to shoot, didn't he? And and it looked like it'd gone away. And you're thinking, oh bloody hell, another move's broken down. And next thing he's found a bit of space and fired it home. It was a great finish, to be fair. Keeper wasn't getting anywhere near it, and that should do his confidence the world of good. First home game of the season, getting off the mark. So hopefully there'll be a few more of them to come.
Yeah, cracking finish. Kev, just finishing off with the first half. I mean, set pieces seem to be a little bit of an issue at the moment with Villa, and it was the only area where Everton were going to score, and they did look quite threatening from those set pieces. But we also looked very, very shaky, and I'm not sure if it's down to the goalkeeper, whether it's down to the way that we're marking or what. I'm not quite sure what it is, but what was the feeling like in the ground with regards to the set piece situation?
I mean, I can't put my finger on what the issue is, but but I mean, I don't know what Aston McPhee does. I mean, if we score a set piece, he'll obviously get all the plaudits, but he has to get the criticism if we're still looking like we're not that threatening on attacking set pieces and we're not that strong and defensive on defensive set pieces, and that's exactly how it feels to me. It just feels like there's a nervousness there in the defense, isn't there? And
is it the goalkeeper? I mean, I've seen one or two people on Twitter saying, he kind of stays on his line a little bit more now.
Well, end of the game, he came out for a couple of crosses when it went back. He
did, yes,
against the wall, and it made a massive difference.
Yeah,
it really calmed the situation.
It settles it down, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really did. It really did. And in terms of attacking areas, I mean, I thought Carlos should have scored that header. To be fair, that was a real chance, but
free header.
But I don't know. I think delivery into the box is a problem generally. I mean, Bournemouth last week, it was horrendous, obviously. Digne's known for his delivery, but I think but also delivery in the box depends what's in the box, doesn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, absolutely. You've got to. They are a big part of the game. and we were, reasonably inventive off them last season. I'd like to think we'll be a little bit more this season. I think Carlos had another block shot in the second half. I think that was a bounce down off a set piece. But if you think about it, you should on paper have players with decent delivery. We've got a couple of players who are good in the air, and then we've got Danny Ings who should be pouncing on anything that's bounced in the box, and we don't. None of those three seem to come together in like any sort of harmony.
Can I ask you boys a question? Do you think we'll ever score a free kick direct again in the Premier League era?
I'll tell you what the answer to that is, and I know he's not playing much these days, but last year, why wasn't Ashley Young taking every free kick we got? Every time I see Douglas Luiz walk up, I'm like, Ashley Young, I know he's getting old, but it doesn't. Yeah. Ashley, your free kick technique doesn't go away. We've seen it 10, 15 years ago.
Do you remember when
taking everything?
Do you remember when Clive Allen signed for the London Monarchs back in the mid-90s as their place kicker? Do you know that? Clive Allen, end of his football career. Yeah, he used to bring him on for kicks. I was thinking, could we get Harahan back from Derby? Got 5 subs, haven't we? You could bring him on for an attacking free kick and then bring him off. You still have 3 subs left, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I
remember Mark Draper was decent at him as well.
Yeah. He has dropped down, but I think fair play to him because it's a good project with Derby to get back up. So, and I think that he was struggling to get game time in Championship. To be fair, which is a bit of a But yeah, I just look at it and think you talk about Ashley Young, we've got Philip Coutinho, got Emi Buendia, Douglas Luiz, Luca Digne's got a good free kick on him. Our Everton fan.
I've never seen what Luiz does from a free kick the whole time he's been there, and he's always on the set pieces. I'm not caning him. I just don't think he's a good set piece.
I don't think we really pick up that many free kicks in and around that 25-yard area. I don't recall us getting any yesterday. We get them out wide because maybe Watkins runs into those channels, but we don't seem to get any in those.
Do you know what that is?
Those areas.
Do you know what that is? And I was going to say this before when we were talking about 5-10 minutes ago. We don't commit defenders and midfielders. If we don't commit them enough, Ramsey. To be fair, I should have mentioned him when I did my post-match reaction on my quick video obviously we posted, because I thought Ramsey actually did pretty well yesterday. There was 2 or 3 times and he really went with the ball. He's the only player in the team that does it, other than Bailey might do it. But even when I've seen Bailey in the league, he hasn't really done that too much. I'm sure he will. His fitness is back on that. But Ramsey's the only one. The only way you're going to do it is if you commit people. I still think this now when I'm playing 5-a-side football, against, it could be a 50-year-old, 20-year-old, 40-year-old, whatever defender. If you just try and get a half a yard on someone, every now and then you'll get past them or you'll trick them or whatever. If you just play it safe all the time, you're never going to do it. So, I don't think within those forward areas, some really tidy players, some good combination play. Second goal will come on to as nice connections, but I don't think we're probably quite dynamic enough in those areas. And that is the reason, you need to, if you get the ball sometimes, you think, can I shift it and get a shot away? I don't see that happening enough.
Ramsey had a fair few opportunities yesterday where he should have shot.
He did. Yeah, he did. And I don't know if he wanted to commit with his left foot, but you just got to go for it sometimes.
Yeah. But he was doing it last year, wasn't he? I mean, and he scored.
Yeah, exactly. But it'll come. Second game of the season, boys. You not everything's going to click. And to be fair, you don't want it to a lot of the time. You want to kind of get yourself into the season, which is, obviously I said to you guys before, with these scrappy, if you can win scrappy at the start of the season, and that means that you're picking up points when you're not quite clicking.
Yeah.
When it does click, you're gonna be firing. But yeah, in terms of that kind of change in the game or change in tempo of the game, one man who was key in that happening was Emi Buendia, and obviously Kev, George, I know you're fans of him as well. That was a kind of key moment in the game, and someone who gave us that much needed impetus in the match.
He played well yesterday, Buendia, when he come on. I thought it was really, really, really good. He deserved his goal as well. I'm not sure what Coutinho was up to yesterday. I don't think he really turned up too much, but Buendia certainly made up for it when he come on. Just inventive, wasn't he? Just kept having a go, finding the pass. He wanted to be involved, didn't he? Look at the goal he scored. He wanted to start that move and finish it. It was, it was a really good performance from Emi.
He was a bright spot, wasn't he, when he came on? And yeah, it's difficult with the whole predictions before with the team. The reason I didn't put Buendia in it wasn't that I don't think he should be in it. I just don't see Gerrard playing both of them at the same time. when he wants to play Watkins and Ings. So it's either or Coutinho or Buendia. But I look at the situation and think to myself, like, you've got to play Coutinho consistently to give him an opportunity to get that, to get back into a bit of a rhythm and start playing well. Interesting enough, yesterday I saw him grafted a bit more than I usually do.
I was actually quietly impressed with Coutinho. Yeah, while he didn't have the game in terms
of better off the ball, wasn't he?
Yes, yeah. While he didn't have the game that was expansive on the ball, I thought, I think he won like 2 or 3 big, decent tackles in the first half and won back possession, deep in his own half. And again, I come back to it when you're playing against 10 men behind the ball, it's extremely difficult. And I would, obviously we can't say for certain, but I'd be fairly sure that Emi Buendia would struggle to break down that back 4 or back 10.
I agree.
He started the game. So
I agree.
I don't think it's.
I was going to say, you look how effective Coutinho was, for example, in that Leeds game when they were going that basketball game. There's loads of space in behind. I think also when we're not committing enough defenders, we haven't got that many people making clever runs. He's the kind of player that will sit there and find you. When it's 2 banks of 5, basically, pretty much, you could have Messi, you could have De Bruyne, you could have Grealish, you could have whoever, you could have Troy Deeney. Doesn't matter who you've got. You could. That was a joke. The last one, by the way. You could have like you're going to struggle to unpick a lock, which he's so tough. You're going to struggle.
Yeah. But like you said, George, good goal from Buendia, and like you said as well, is when he passes the ball, he likes to follow his pass. He won't just pass and watch it. He'll pass and then make the next run, which is exactly what we need. Someone getting beyond the strikers and breaking through the lines. And
Ian Taylor,
I think it was Onana. I'm not sure what his name is. He lost the ball in midfield, and then he was onto it like in a flash, out to Watkins. Watkins with his second assist of the game, across to Buendia, and I think he did his best to miss it, but I think he was that close to the goal that he couldn't. But yeah, obviously that kind of sealed the game. And in the end, it was absolutely vital, George.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Oh, sorry, you have to say. I can't even remember what you just said there.
Just in terms of the timing of the goal, it was vital that.
Oh, massive relief for it,
and yeah, obviously, it ended up being absolutely vital because of what happened afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, to get the goal at that time, you felt it was one of those, wasn't it? At 1-0 for so long, we're Villa fans. We know that shit's normally going to go wrong at some stage, and then the relief we felt there when we got the second, and everything felt, it felt great. We were all going to go home happy. I was I was ready to leave the ground. The next thing we've done a classic Villa thing, and from the centre somehow we've managed to bloody concede a goal.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I couldn't even. I think watching it on the TV, I think we were that busy, kind of, watching the replays of the goal, and then kind of
And they were just asleep, mate.
Yeah, probably. But like even BT Sport, they weren't even watching the game themselves. And all of a sudden, that Onana had gone into the box, took it round. I think it was Kamara couldn't get near him, and then I think he took it round Carlos, put the cross in, and I think Emi got a hand to it, but
I just sort of shit trickling over the line, and you're thinking,
and then just pushed it out to Dina, and Dina's running in with another player, and I don't think he could get out of the way. So I don't think there's any blame that lies with Luca Dean in that sense. But yeah, it was definitely some hair raising moments towards the end of that game. I think Gordon had a chance. I think. And I think Mings put a game's point saving tackle into the play as well. Kev, I think we're just saying at the end of that game, it just seemed like hearts were in mouths, and we almost did our best to throw it away.
Yeah, it was really, really quite nerve-wracking. There was a couple of blocks. I think there was Mings. I think Chambers did one as well when he paused for half a second too long, and then basically just got there in the end. But yeah, there was some heroic defending, which we've always been good at. To be fair, we've been good at that. Cons has always been great at that. We've always kind of put ourselves on the line, but putting ourselves in situations we didn't really need to.
That's what we do, though, isn't it?
Yeah. So obviously we got the win. Any particular performances that stuck out to you? I know we've mentioned Buendia. I know we've mentioned Ramsey was fairly impressive, but anyone else for you boys who kind of stole the show?
Booba, booba, boobaka, 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 booba, booba, boobaka, boobaka, Kamara. There is a midfield man.
Yeah.
He comes from Marseille, but can he play? Where does he play? He plays in midfield. Booba, booba. Sorry. Oh God, we're live on YouTube, aren't we? We're live on YouTube.
We are live. I
Yes.
think we're going to get taken off at any point, though. To be fair,
No.
Oh, no.
I'm 100% behind that.
Yeah, no. Boubacar Kamara, that's his name. What's his name? I thought was unassumingly great yesterday. You know, just did all the simple things really well. There was one thing I loved in the first half. He did a great first-time pass. I think it set Watkins away. I remember just thinking that's the kind of thing that you're going to do to break the lines. That's how you're going to get through. Like a real quick, clever, spotted it. Took first-time pass, 30, 40 yards. It was great. And I just thought he was effective. He was breaking up play really well. So, yeah, I think he's make a bit of a difference in that team for us.
Yeah. No, he was excellent. I think the stats say something like 90 touches. I think it was something like above 80% pass completion rate. I think his tackling was excellent. And he was just from I think Martin had mentioned it, I think he was just playing that a little bit higher up in terms of he was picking up the ball off the centre backs, don't get me wrong, but he was trying to progress with his passes as well into that midfield area. And as his confidence is going to clearly grow and grow, his range of passing is going to come out, and that, for me, I think he's going to be a real top midfielder.
Yeah,
he played well, Kamara, yesterday. 88% pass accuracy.
Yeah.
So he's had a really good game. And don't get me wrong, he wasn't under a lot of pressure from Everton, I didn't think. But like you said, he just done everything, all the simple stuff. He just knocks it around. And I'll tell you what he did do. He made Ramsey and McGinn, he covered up their shortcomings by being so effective on the ball. It allowed Ramsey and McGinn to do their runs and not worry about, we've got no one to pass to in the middle. Just give it to him and he'll do it.
And
he's a really good game.
He's a big upgrade, isn't he, as well? Obviously on the cam, but even on Louise in that position, even on McGinn in that position, he's just a big upgrade.
Absolutely, he knows exactly what he's doing in that position, and it's not as if it's some of the other players have got their limitations in that position, but I don't necessarily see too many limitations with Kamara. I think he can play long passes, he can play short passes, he can tackle, he can run with the ball. I don't think there's too many weaknesses that he's got at all. So, yeah, very exciting. What about Ollie Watkins for you boys? Was that kind of a Watkins back to his best performance for you? Sort of working the centre halves really well.
It was much more like it from Watkins yesterday. I thought he had a very good game as well. Yeah, just occupied the defenders. He was lively, wasn't he? And the link up between him and Ings throughout the game, I thought, before Ings got subbed. Just gave. I think Gerrard called it in the interview after. He said he wanted to make it about Everton's back three. It was basically just Watkins and Ings just running at three defenders and seeing what joy we got, and we got a fair bit.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about you. I thought about your stat from Thursday when you talked about Watkins and Ings playing together, and how everyone says that they can't, but the win in games is higher when they are playing together, and obviously they linked up for a goal. Kev, your face wasn't quite as convinced, I saw there with the Watkins performance. Maybe he could have had a goal. I know he missed a chance near the end. Would that have topped off a decent performance for him?
It's just the thing that's lacking for me. Like, I don't want him to become like an Emil Heskey type character where he's just known for his work rate and what he does for other players. And I feel like he's kind of getting there. I know he obviously had a good first season, and I'm sure he'll score goals this season because he still can finish. But I still think there's situations where like he just seems a little bit football like naive to me at times, and he just makes the wrong decisions. I know everyone makes the wrong decisions, but there was a time in the first half when he just, he had a square ball to play and he played it straight to one of their players, and it's just a real good opportunity. If he'd have just found the pass, we could have had a shot in the box. And obviously, when he got played through, he took it a bit too wide, and then I think he should have kept the shot, either properly dinked it or kind of kept it low in the corners, and he just played it at the keeper. I don't know. I know we're talking fine margins here, but I just think Watkins, he needs to find the back of the net more. That's why, for me, I think in a situation where subject to the players behind them being the right formation. I think I'd have Ings over Watkins purely because I think he knows where the net is a bit more. And I think if you get him opportunities, I think he'll finish more. Now, his work rate and what he does for the team is probably not quite where Watkins is. So that's the quandary with this. But
Watkins does a lot more than Ings.
You saw yourself, Bournemouth. Bournemouth was just complete ridiculous playing Ings up top on his own. That was just like...
I think it depends what I'm saying. I think it depends what's behind him. I think if you had, alternative players, I don't think that formation in that situation. I agree. You're probably better off with Watkins, but I just think, in other games maybe a chance falls. I just like him. I like him to hit the net more, and I don't know. Maybe Statman George can get this ready for the next podcast. But it feels like Watkins. I'd love to know what his percentage of chances he's taken is, and I don't know.
I saw something on that earlier, mate. And I can't say exactly what it was, but it was a lot more impressive than what we would think.
All right,
the guy put it on today.
Let me clarify a bit more what I mean. Sometimes their stats aren't always fully. They're a bit misleading sometimes, aren't they?
Yeah.
We don't get the stats on what times was it a bad touch meant he didn't get a shot. Do you know what I mean? That kind of thing. What was it? Well, when was the situation when he made the wrong run? You only might just get when he's in front of goal. What percentage of shots when he has a shot does he take? But I'm looking at situations as a fan where I think, God, he's had a heavy touch there, or why is he not running behind there, or why is he taking it too wide? And I feel like I don't want to critique him because he's outside of Kane and Vardy. I think he's the top scoring Englishman in the league the last 2 years.
Yeah.
But I just think sometimes we're lacking a bit if he's not taking so many chances. So I just hope he gets a few goals under his belt and gets on a bit of a run.
I actually thought he had a quality game yesterday. I think up against Cody and Tarkowski, I think most defenders, totally take the point about him not scoring enough, and when there's chances that he should score, he probably doesn't score those enough. But I think if you ask most centre backs, like Virgil van Dijk hates playing against him. Yeah. You can tell. Yeah. And Tarkowski and Cody, they would have come off that pitch thinking, bloody hell, I don't want to come up against him again. And there's lots of defenders like that. I just think when he does have an off game, he's really off. Like his touch is off.
Yeah,
he's not a natural centre forward, is he?
No, but
that doesn't bother me though. If he does his job well,
yeah,
he can cover that fact up.
Yeah,
I just
sometimes would like him to play a little bit more within the width of the box. So I think he sometimes, when he does get in front of goal, he's done that much running that he's probably knackered.
Well,
at the point of trying to score the goal,
there was a bit of commentary. A bit of punditry post match on Match of the Day last night, and I was thinking the same thing actually myself. But when Coutinho nearly got to that pullback, in the first half, and like where was Watkins? He's nowhere near the picture. Like your number one, and then Ings is number 9 now, but you know what I mean? So you could argue the same thing at Ings, but your strikers should be in that area. And sometimes there was times when like Ings and Watkins were both on the left wing, and I was thinking, get in the box, Danny, get in the box, Ollie. Like we need to be putting ourselves in those situations more. So yeah, I mean, there's probably a combination of factors. Take nothing away from Watkins. I totally agree. Like he's a handful for centre halves, and when he's on it, he runs in behind. He can hold the ball up well. He can link play. And I think he works well in that kind of team. I think it's what we've asked for when we talked about Keenan Davis in the past about that type of striker. It's been able to link the play rather than having lots of little players that are clever on the ball but aren't fast enough, aren't strong enough to make a massive impact sometimes. So yeah, I still think the joys are just a little bit out for me on our strikers, and time will tell. But I don't want to get to the end of the season and have 20 goals between them and think finish 12th.
Thing is, though, mate, if Watkins played like he did yesterday, Ings will score a shed load of goals this year. And this is what I said the other week, wasn't it? If Watkins can't finish, then make sure his partner can.
Well, if it works like that, absolutely. Because I think Ings, yesterday, I thought Ings was really good. You even see a couple of times, and this is the difference, I think, with him and Watkins from a striking perspective. And you're absolutely right. He's more of a natural striker. There's a couple of times you can see him taking a really clever touch, and the defender just cut it out a couple of times. Using the momentum he had on a forward run to move it away. And if he'd just got that right, he would have had a shot away. And I think Ings, he's never really gone on a bit of a run with us. I think he could get into a purple patch.
Yeah, I mean, there was talk that I think Gerrard had said that he was playing with a slight injury. So hopefully that's not too serious. But talking on injuries, there was news after the game of a bad injury to Mr. Diego Carlos, and obviously we don't know the full extent yet. There's due to have a scan, I would imagine, tomorrow, and then it'll probably be a couple of days till the results come through from that. But early signs are it doesn't look good. Kev, how bad is that for us? You know, he looks like he was going to be a real talisman for us at the back. If it's a serious injury, it's going to keep him out till probably after the World Cup. What does that do for us for this season?
Well, it's a worry, isn't it? We have to be clear. You know, I think we've got some decent centre halves for the Premier League, and Mings and Konza have been in a team that's finished, you know, almost top 10 in the Premier League before the season we finished 11th. They were centre halves for us. And Chambers has played, you know, he's won the FA Cup and he's played in Champions League, so he's a good centre half as well. But Carlos has been specifically brought in to do a job, to probably be a bit more robust, but also be a ball playing centre half and someone who's going to take no prisoners and be physically imposing, but also add something going forward. And yeah, with him, if it is as bad as everyone thinks it is, and he's done his Achilles, and then it's going to be a significant injury probably. You're in a situation where you're looking at a team that finished 14th last year, trying to finish in the top 7, 8, 9, whatever this season, and the only different member of personnel is Kamara. And that is, you know, you might have made some signings, but you know, Augustinsson's going back up, Olsen's back up, a couple of youngsters. You know, Coutinho we already had, so I know technically he's, you know, perm, but we already had the only difference to the team, and it's a big difference, that centre defensive midfield role. But is that enough to get you 6, 7 places at the league? I'm not convinced it is.
No. George, do you think that brings about a potential move back into the transfer market, or are we going to muddle along with what we've got and hope that, you know, the Mings, Konsa and Chambers trio, maybe Courtney Hawes, that stops his loan going out now? Do you think that's enough to kind of cope until Carlos comes back?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a blow. Like, you can't put it any other way. But at least like Carlos hasn't been in the team for weeks and weeks, and we're now set up the team, you know, to like having him in a position and us playing a certain style. You know, he's only played one game, hasn't he? So now, you know, I think it'll be back to Mings and Konza. And I think the big thing for us is we've got to get Konza back in form. I said the other week, didn't I? I mean, what has happened to him? But now I'd say he would be the choice to come back in with Mings. And I'd say the shirt's now his to lose. And I'd expect us to not go in the transfer market, to be honest, because we've got a fair few centre-backs there. So I'd expect us to muddle along with what we've got.
Yeah. I think if it's bad, I think you'll buy someone. I think we'll have to. I think that. I don't know. I still look at the situation with Villa. Like, I don't want to, you know, they keep talking all this about what they want to do as a club. And when you've got to do something. I still think we're a dynamic midfielder away, and I think now with Carlos' injury, we're a centre half away from that real quality. You know, if you want to finish in the top 10 in the league, you know, and a little bit up the top 10, you need to have players that are going to get you there. And if you've got players in your team that are maybe only, you know, 9 to 8, 10 to 12, 13, 14 quality players, I'm not saying they're not capable of more. I'm not saying that at all. But I don't know. I feel like if we didn't do it and we end up finishing 12, 13, 14, whatever, they'll look back and go, you know what we should have done? We should have brought a more dynamic, because we can see it. And the next time we play a game and we don't do anything against the team, and it's because we don't put our chances away or we don't create enough chances, or we're a bit porous at the back, we'll go, the window's shut now. What are we going to do? So I just think that you need to take your opportunities in life sometimes. You know, you need to take these moments, and whether it's a semi-final of a cup competition or it's 2 weeks to go in the transfer window, and you've got real ambitions to finish in the top 8, whatever it is, Premier League, then show us what you're all about.
I hear that as well, mate. But at the same time, I don't think we can keep buying new toys every time one breaks. You know, we've got coaches and managers there to get the best out of what we've already got there. You know, Konza's already proven he can do it. He's just out of form, and we've got to start getting him back into form.
Yeah, but I think that's only going to take you so far. Like, I totally agree. Like, the coaching is important, and you need to get more out of the players. And there's that whole argument about which players have got better since Gerrard's been there, and I've heard that a few times in chats. But I still think sometimes you need to bring quality in. If you don't, then, you know, I don't know. You can't be expecting a different outcome if you don't bring it. I still think we're a show-stopping signing away this summer. I don't think we brought anybody in. I know Kamara is very highly rated and there's going to be a big difference, but someone that we go, wow. I mean, last summer we were linked before obviously Grealish left. I mean, this would have solved all our free kick problems, but like with someone like James Ward-Prowse, you know.
I wish we'd have got him, lads.
But, you know, that kind of like signing, like a Danny Ings.
I don't like him, mate.
Well,
Really?
whether it's Ward-Prowse, whoever, but something that's going to make someone
Average.
go, wow.
Yeah. No, I guess with the Carlos thing, it depends on how long he's out for, doesn't it? And I think if it's a 6-week thing, I think you'll probably cope with it.
Yeah.
If it's a 3, 4, 5 month thing, because then, once it gets over that period of time, then it takes another couple of weeks for them to get into training. Then they have to play a couple of under-23s games, and then they'll bring him in and then take him out again, and then it's that becomes difficult. So a 3-month injury or 4-month injury almost always becomes 5 months at least till they get up to full fitness. If it's 4 to 6
how late
weeks,
was it? I think I'd gone. How late was the injury?
Yeah, it was right at the end. I mean, there was a good. I think it was into stoppage time, and then there was another 3 minutes added on because we made like 3 subs at the same time because he went down. I think 1 or 2 other players went down with cramp. So it was like Chambers, Conser, and Ashley Youngcat went on, I think. But Carlos was an actual pretty bad injury. So yeah, but fingers crossed it's not too serious because, like I say, if it's a 4 to 6 one, he's already kind of done the groundwork in terms of the fitness training. So if that means he has to be off the grass for 2 or 3 weeks, then he can probably get back running again within the next couple of weeks, and then be ready again. So yeah, fingers crossed on that one. Just a couple of comments we'll go through for those watching. But yeah, once again, thanks for everyone watching. Thanks for everyone contributing to the show. If you haven't already, give the video a like and thumbs up. And if you are watching for the first time, or if you haven't done it already, please subscribe to the channel. I think we're up to almost 220 subscribers now, boys. So we're well on the way to 250. So yeah, please subscribe to the channel. The support has been fantastic. Mark, Soupy Mark has said he'd like to see Bailey on free kicks more when he's on. I think Bailey's got some good delivery on some of those set pieces. Also, Coutinho has a higher top level, but his rare error and his bottom level is meh. Buendia offers more when he's below his peak and is just someone who can be relied on outside of magic moments.
Yeah, I hear that.
Yep.
Bit more of the team player element, would you say, there in Buendia?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a decent problem to have, one of the two or even both, playing both of them at the same time.
The thing is, at the moment, now there's 5 subs. I think we've got to stop obsessing about who's starting and who's on the bench because they've all got a part to play, haven't they?
Yeah, bench players can be as important. Look at the top teams. Even with 10 minutes to go, they're making substitutions where they're expecting these players to make big impacts. So if a player doesn't start, it doesn't mean that they're not a more important part of the picture. Kamara just looks like he has so much time on the ball. I think we've talked about him and Kev, your what you said about him kind of being a real potential big signing for us in that position, I think is more and more evident as the weeks go on. And also nice to see Philogene Bidace give the Blue Noses a slap too. So it was some of our lone players. Some of our lone players doing very well at the moment. Philogene Bidace scoring against Blues for Cardiff. Finn Azaz scoring again for Plymouth.
He did.
I think that's 3 goals already.
Kessler Hayden got a win in his first appearance for Huddersfield as well.
He did, yeah, 3-1 win. Looking very, very good. So, yeah, I know we say that some of these players, it would be good for them to stick around, but when you see them scoring goals, making impacts in matches that really do matter, it can only be good for their development, can't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Brilliant. Right, so just to finish off, boys, bit of a Premier League roundup. Where do we start?
Well, maybe start with the game today. It was pretty tasty. It was nice to see Chukwuemeka get his first minutes for Chelsea.
Oh, did he come on? Did he?
Oh, he wasn't even in the squad, mate. Wasn't even in the squad. Wasn't even in the squad. He assisted the first goal. Yeah, I mean, he probably would have played for Villa. He probably would have played.
Think of all that money, though, Kev. Think about that money he's earned this week.
Hey, lolly, yeah, good. I mean, let's see what happens with him. But yeah, no, I mean, that game was tasty on the touchline, wasn't it? Did you see it?
Brilliant game. Yeah, brilliant game. And Conte showing what he's all about when they got the first equaliser, got in Tuchel's face, and then Tuchel didn't take too kindly to it. Then Chelsea scored to make it 2-1. Reece James scored, and Tuchel ran down the touchline right past Conte, and then only for Kane to header it in the virtually last kick of the game.
Yeah.
So Conte went crazy, and then they'd been booked by this point, and then they proceeded to get sent off at the end of the game over.
So no handshakes, no.
Yeah,
no, there was a handshake.
They did handshake.
And then they held it on too long, and one of them pulled it.
No!
Yeah,
I've not seen this. I'll watch Match of the Day later.
It was fantastic. Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. But from between those two sides, just a little bit of analysis on those two sides. Is there anything, Kev, between Chelsea and Tottenham that impresses you, or that thinks that one of them might be ready to step up?
Well, I didn't have him in my top 4 in the prediction show, but Chelsea's intensity in the first half was brilliant. I mean, I just thought they were everywhere. Spurs couldn't handle it. And I was actually really surprised. I thought they were way better than I thought they would be. They were a bit laboured. They didn't see much of the first game against Everton. But yeah, I was actually really quite impressed with Chelsea. I thought Mount looked good as well. I thought he looked like he's obviously put a bit of physicality, hasn't he, been in the gym? And yeah, I was really impressed. But Spurs, look, they've got players in that team that can produce magic moments. And as long as they're in a game, they'll always have a threat. And to be fair, Kane missed a good chance earlier on, so it could have been a different result. Both good teams, and I think they'll be there or thereabouts in that top 4 argument. Both of them. I wouldn't say any further than that, but definitely top 4.
Yeah. And the other game that happened today, Nottingham Forest getting their first win in the Premier League since 1999, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic atmosphere at the City Ground, and beating West Ham 1-0.
I didn't see the game. I didn't see much of the game today, but great. I think Forest for me belong in the Premier League. You know, they're a great traditional club, one of not many to have won the European Cup. You can't believe it's been 23 years since they've been here. So I mean, I do feel a little tinge of sadness for Keenan Davis actually, because they've obviously signed that the new striker. I think he got a goal. They're linked with another striker.
They're linked with Neil Maupay, and they've signed Emmanuel Dennis already.
Yeah, exactly. And the other one they signed, who's a Nigerian guy that they signed for, didn't they?
Yeah,
they're doing a Villa Fulham, aren't they?
They are. Yeah,
I think they're doing more than that, mate. They're signing everyone.
Yeah, they are.
But no, good to see him get a win. And obviously, with the logic of most Villa fans, after you lose to a promoted side, it must mean that you're up for the sack. So
Moyes out there, obviously.
Yeah, expect to see Moyes in trouble this week because they've lost both their opening games of the season. So yeah. Will we see stats comparing him to Gary Neville's time at Valencia, or
maybe? Yeah,
not sure.
We all lost our head a bit last week. We can't judge too much.
Yeah.
I certainly wasn't calling for Gerrard's head, though. I'll tell you that for nothing.
No, that was madness. That was madness. Anyway, let's get to the real ticket. I took the kids to the golf range yesterday randomly. Anyway, whatever. And as I got there, I was like, my lad was like, it's 4-0 to Brentford. Come on, it can't be. It kicked off half hour ago. Like, oh no, it was 4-0 to Brentford. I mean, unbelievable scenes.
Unbelievable scenes. I know. I heard there was stewards pushing back the crowd of Man United fans trying to get out,
trying to keep them in.
I mean,
it's great, isn't it?
It's just honestly. I mean, what is happening at United? What is happening?
To me, though, lads, this has been coming, isn't it? Last season, they got sixth last year somehow. I'm not sure how, because they were far, far from impressive. But even with Ten Hag coming in, and they've made a couple of signings, but I don't know about you lads, but I didn't think Man United would do much this year. You don't expect them to go and shipping 4 at Brentford, but yeah, it's highly amusing, and they've had it coming for a long time. So
I can't remember where I put them. I maybe put them like 7th or 8th, which is way down the way you'd expect Man United to be. You're absolutely right. I mean, I don't think it's not been coming, but it's another example of if you don't buy the right kind of players, and another example for me, even more so of when you can see something's not quite right. We can obviously see this. We talked about the Villa and things we need to tweak and affect, and we're not that confident. We're not swashbuckling, are we? Like at times when West Ham were really marauding last season, or Leicester have done it. Or other teams have spells where you're thinking, my God, even Southampton have had moments in 2 or 3 seasons ago, and you're like, wow, good side. They're gonna put teams that are not quite there to bed. No problem at all. Well, Man United, look at their team. I mean, I said this after the pre-season game. We've got a better squad than Manchester United. Now, we were in the Championship, was it 4 years ago?
I know.
And I finished second, was it 3 years ago? Whatever. Their squad. I mean, who would you have from this team in the Villa team? Seriously, now. Would you have De Gea over Martinez? Maybe. I mean, but with the amount of mistakes.
Not on the evidence of yesterday, no.
He's had a good career, but I think is he on the way? Saying that he was all right last year. I think was it last year or the year before? He had a bit of a renaissance when Henderson thought he was going to be number one, and then
he was better last
again,
year.
didn't he?
So that's maybe up in the air. Would you shop Shaw for Digne or Dalot for cash?
No.
I mean,
no.
Maguire and Martinez for Carlos and Mings or Carlos and Chambers? I wouldn't. Ericsson,
Martinez is what? Is he 5'7" or something?
Too small, isn't he?
Yeah, 5'7". It's not football heaven for a defender, is it? 5'7". No.
That was an odd signing.
50 million.
Maybe we might be completely wrong here, lads. But in England, I don't think you can get away with that. There's too many physical teams.
Maybe if you're playing 3 at the back.
I watched that. Yes, I watched that yesterday, and it was as if Ten Hag thought, Brentford away. Oh, who are Brentford? We'll just walk through these. And he didn't give it the slightest thought about, we need a bit of physicality and a bit of height. And Brentford just battered them from pillar to post. I thought it was very naive from Ten Hag.
He's a good player, but he's going to be coming up against some. I mean, Ben Mee didn't have much of a problem, did he? Just I was like that third goal. I think it was the third goal. I was thinking, how's that gone in? But clearly, because Ben Mee was just stronger, so
just pushed him. Yeah.
Ericsson's a good player, right? He's almost for me like a bit like a Coutinho. You need to have the right kind of system around him to be able to use.
Which he had at Brentford.
Yeah, but Ericsson, Fred, Fernandez has been shit for ages.
Yeah.
Sancho, Rashford. I mean, what? I mean, probably Rashford had great potential and was really good a few years back.
Sancho's
done nothing since he's been there, really.
Sancho's a FIFA highlights player for me.
Yeah,
agreed.
I mean, the whole team is just
Rashford needs to leave there.
Mm-hmm.
Rashford needs to leave. I think he needs a move.
Yeah. PSG are potentially interested in him, I think. But
like
you say, Kev, I don't disagree with you, and I guess the shocking thing is the manner of the defeat. And I think that he's got a lot of work to do. I know there was kind of the sort of pre-season messages that were coming out with it that it was a different team, and he was calling players out in training, and the work rate was higher, but when they showed the running stats yesterday, I think it was something like 107 kilometers for Brentford and 95 kilometers for Man United. So it's like, it's a huge difference in the amount of running that's being done. And if you can't compete in terms of work rate, you're not going to win games. It's not going to happen. And there's a lot wrong with that club.
It's embarrassing, isn't it? I mean, you can't imagine, Chelsea, Spurs, Arsenal, Man City, you can't imagine Villa, you can't imagine Leeds, getting beaten 4-0 away at Brentford. But actually, it's not just that, it's the manner of the fit. They didn't lay a glove on them.
No.
I had my mate's been around here today, big Man United fan, and he said last season and this season, that's the 7th time they've conceded 4 goals.
Right.
And that's bloody Man United, do you know what I mean? As Gary Neville as always says, it's Man United. But it is Man United, and what the hell is going on? To be fair, bollocks to them.
We've also seen it coming, haven't we? Because in our history of come back to the Premier League playing Man United, there's a couple of times I can remember games when it was like a lucky penalty. That probably shouldn't have been given. There was obviously we beat him away last year. At home, we were good value for a 2-2, and we could have won that game easy. We battered him in the cup, and they somehow managed to beat us. And my point is, even that 2-2 at Old Trafford when Grealish scored that worldie, like we could have easily won that game.
Could have won that one.
Yeah, and I think in the past, Man United used to batter teams like Villa. or at least convincing wins, and we're getting closer and closer to them and getting more chance of getting results. And that's more of a sign of of us going up and getting better. But with us being fairly new to the Premier League, it's even more of a sign of their decline.
Yeah, still not beat them at Villa Park though since I was 11 years old, mate, which really upsets me.
This season.
I fucking hope so, lads.
Yeah.
And I want to be there to see it as well.
Yeah. Anyone else impressing you other than the obvious sort of Man City? Anyone else?
Leeds have been quite impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought Leeds got 4 points, haven't they? I mean, I know they let that 2-goal lead slip, but they obviously beat Wolves, which you wouldn't always expect, and then they were 2 up at Southampton to finally let it slip. But doing better than probably I thought they would. I mean, obviously only 2 games, but they're in 5th. Newcastle have been pretty solid, haven't they? 4 points. And yeah, I mean, I think it's probably still too early really to say too much other than that. Man City, convincing. I think Arsenal as well. Arsenal have been good example of don't throw the baby out with the bathwater if you ever got bad results. Last season they lost the first 3, and have you watched their Amazon Prime thing? They scar over that on that, don't they? Or they lose the first game. They lose the first game, and the next episode they're like, "Oh, Arsenal." The next game was Burnley when they won. I'm thinking, hang on a minute, there's 2 games they've lost here. There must be some Arsenal fan TV meltdowns you can show us.
Yeah, they gloss over those bits, don't they? And the old the Amazon documentaries, the bad bits.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. Great, boys. Well, yeah, really good. We'll do this again, like just a little roundup of the Premier League. I think it's a good little thing just to see what's going on outside of the Villa world. But we will be back on Thursday. Obviously, if there isn't any more big news in the week, you never know. We might make a signing. You never know. So we might be back for news on signings. But apart from that, we'll definitely be back on Thursday previewing the upcoming game against Crystal Palace. They are playing tomorrow against Liverpool, and Aaron believes that they are going to be. Liverpool will tire them out, and we'll pick up the pieces. So let's hope for that. But we'll delve into that on Thursday, lads. Once again, thank you for everyone watching. Please give the video a like. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We haven't heard from Liam, so we will do the draw again for the Villa shirt on Thursday's show. So I'll be doing the random draw again. So keep your eyes peeled for that, unless you get in touch with us between now and then. But lads, thank you very much for joining. As I say, we'll be back for a Palace preview on Thursday. All that's left to say is good night, and remember, we'll follow the Villa.
Cheers, lads. Thanks all.
Boys.